Hey, man, I've been watching the news. Um, Man, I got the news on nonstop now, man. I mean, I know I was talking earlier about how some people tune out, whatever, they don't want to see what's going on. I've been watching, man, and oh man, what a fucking day. So yeah, I watched that, and I've been terping like fucking crazy, and I wanted to talk to you guys about that too, because that's kind of fun and exciting. Um, so let's get going here, huh? Yes, yes, yes. Here we go. Over here. Put him way down here. We're good right there. Bubble, Patrick, pissed off a lot of people who are trying to be peaceful. Justin Smith. You know, he's not a good leader. And I can remember when Donald Trump, the last 2 years, friends of mine, hey, Robert Mulligan, excellent timing, friends of mine, were on Facebook saying, Donald Trump is doing this and Donald Trump is doing that. And, who cares what he's tweeting about or if he said he's grabbing women by the pussy? Well, the reason why some of the adults in the room back then were concerned about it is because we knew if something like this would happen, he wouldn't have the experience to deal with it. He demonstrated himself to be a very weak man, a weak leader, horrible leader, as Judith Stone Simonow says. Thank you. How the hell can military be used against its own citizens? I thought that was illegal. No, it's not illegal. It's an act from the 1800s, man. And, Donald Trump has a right to do what he's doing. I don't agree with it. It's partly his fault. But he has a right to call in the National Guard and to tell these troops to stop the violence. He has every right to do that. But the extent at which he has instructed these troops to act and that they are doing his bidding, that's where it starts getting dicey. They're using extreme force on peaceful protesters. And it's like you said, he's picking a fight with the wrong fucking country. He's starting a fight with the United States of America, and he's going to fucking lose. He's going to find out real quick. Sure, they might shut down the violence, and I think they should. People shouldn't be getting violent. You know what I did see today? And it touched my heart. I saw a bunch of people in the streets, gas all around them, pigs, horses, shields, fucking riot gear, the whole thing, and they were kneeling in the middle of the street. I guess they watched my show today. And I'm telling you, it is the most powerful statement a person can make. You kneel, you rub it right in Donald Trump's face that when Colin Kaepernick, whatever his name is, whenever he kneeled and you called him a son of a bitch and you made such a stink about it, you're now your chickens are now coming home to roost. And that is exactly what that statement means. It means that you made your bed, now you have to go fucking lay in it. In other words, without using some kind of a silly little saying, Donald Trump chose to ignore that there was a systemic issue of racist violence in our police forces around the country. He chose to ignore it. And now, with his failure of the coronavirus and this last gentleman getting murdered by a cop over a period of 8 minutes, was more than the country could take. Yeah, he's calling up the National Guard. Yeah, he's sending in troops. He's dispersing troops throughout the country. And yeah, hey, man, look, if you're brave enough and you're out in the streets and you're doing this thing, more power to you. You have all of my support. I think you're fucking crazy, but if it weren't for the crazy motherfuckers out there doing this shit, we wouldn't have much of a say in anything, would we? You know, we're on Twitter, we're talking, and nothing is changing. People are still being killed by police. So, you have to protest. That's why protesting is allowed. Oh, you've been protesting? Right on, Allie. Good. I'm so glad. I'm proud of you. Yeah, and I support everybody that does that. Just understand that when these troops come in and they tear gas you and they beat you and they throw you in jail, there's really no recourse to any of that. You're taking part in a giant protest. It's a worldwide protest. I would love to see yellow vests on these people, you know? Wouldn't that be amazing if they really started realizing what they were protesting, you know? There's a lot of people out there that are kind of confused about it. And I wish there was more organization. Donald Trump has said anybody organizing these protests will be jailed for a long time. That was almost his words. You'll be in jail for an extremely long amount of time. But then out of the other corner of his mouth, he says he supports peaceful protesters. And yet, he tear-gassed peaceful protesters so he could stand in front of a church and have his picture taken with a bunch of his crony friends with a stupid, weird smile on his face. It was so surreal. I watched it. I was just, you know, I was like, I got to go live, man. This is fucking crazy. I can't believe this shit's happening right at 420. You know, I want to talk to you guys about terping, because I've been going crazy. I was like, fuck it, man. This works so good on the Pineapple Express. You were tear gassed, Allie? Oh my goodness. Nick is talking about somebody got killed by 3 cops. Oh, and 1 watched. I see what you're saying. So, the Jack Herer smells so strong that it's not really taking on the lemon terps that I put on it. It just smells like Jack Herer. Let me see what the blackberry smells like. I put some blueberry pie on it. And it smells like blueberry pie. Amazing. Amazing. The true black, now it smells like blueberry pie. Okay, that worked. And we're going to keep terping these. And now I did orange creamsicle on the Pineapple Express. Totally working. You can see the oil that I put on, just 2 drops, and I let the drops run along the lid so they don't touch the cannabis, and they disperse the terps throughout. It only lasted a few minutes. Ask how you felt about this. I watched the 1970 Los Angeles documentary a couple of minutes ago and said I was reading the cast in Tampa for. Yeah, let me tell you something. The revolution will be televised, and it will be high bandwidth across all platforms. You guys like that? I said it first. I just made that up. Okay. So we're terping it up, son. Excited. Fuck racism, says Nick. See Trump come out just before live here walking the streets. Yeah, the streets that he had the National Guard clear with horses and tear gas for a group of people. And let me tell you something. There were a lot of attractive young women in that crowd. I mean, they were showing them on CNN. You couldn't miss them. There were beautiful women protesting right along everybody else. Gorgeous. You know, wearing yoga pants and fucking hot. And they didn't give a fuck, dude. They were tear gassing everybody. They didn't give a fuck. These people were kneeling. They were standing with their hands up, and they were chanting Black Lives Matter and hands up, don't shoot, and I can't breathe. And for that, they were violently removed from those streets so that Donald Trump could make a point and show how much control he has over Americans. And someone said Donald Trump just fucked with the wrong people. When this show first started, someone said Donald Trump just pushed around the wrong crowd or something. Boy, oh boy, I know that tomorrow more people are going to show up. And the day after that, more people are going to show up. And then what are you going to do when there's 10,000 people outside the White House and those fucking gates fall? Then what are you going to do? You know, there are people, when there's a crowd of people and you got 10,000 people and they're charging the White House because of neglected leadership. A couple people get shot by a couple of fucking servicemen, and then those servicemen all get murdered in their wherever they're standing. They get ripped apart limb from limb, beaten to a pulp, literally, by these crowds, and then they overrun the White House and they start looking for Donald Trump. And man, they find him, they're going to string him up outside and hang him up like a fucking effigy and probably set his ass on fire. And he knows it. And all of you know it too. And everybody is sick of Donald Trump's shit. And what does he do? He has a moment today, 8 minutes, where he can bring us all together and calm it down. And he does the exact opposite. He makes threats. He intimidates, and he pokes a stick into already an anthill that's already been kicked over, and he decides he's going to incite. No, it's only going to remain peaceful, you know, for so long. Then the police come in. The police always escalate it, and then it's going to become violent. And I'm telling you, these 25-year-old kids, they don't want to hear a goddamn word of fucking authority telling them what to fucking do and what they can't do. And I'm watching it on TV, man. I can't believe these kids. I got to tell you, I'm proud of a lot of them. I'm seeing a lot of stand-up people out there doing great things. And I'm seeing a lot of people, you know, lowering themselves to, you know, the lowest common denominator as well. And that's sad. It's sad to see both sides of that. But there's something that you guys aren't seeing. And you know, if you go on the internet and different places, what they show on TV is not what they show on the internet. And boy, oh boy, are these crowds are more vicious than any crowds I've ever seen, man. I'm telling you, they're rabid. And when I say rabid, what that means is they are, as a group of people, out of control and will murder anything just on a whim. Not because that person did something, but because that is a target of opportunity and they're mad and they want to go fucking hit a punching bag. You know? And most of these kids don't have punching bags. But hey, man, there's a dude laying down in the street bleeding and he's not going to hit you back. Boy, I you know, what does that feel like? What does that fucking feel like, man? I wouldn't be able to fucking live another day. You know? I wouldn't be able to live another day if there was a man bleeding in the street, defenseless, and I ran up and I kicked him again. I wouldn't be able to sleep that night, and I'd probably have to take a gun and fucking kill myself. I don't know how you motherfuckers do that shit. But there's a serious problem with people today. And it's reflected in the way they're protesting, you know. And I understand, they say, oh, these people are coming from out of town and that it's a target of opportunity, and they see mayhem and they come running. Well, yes, that's true. But don't forget, they're also American citizens. It doesn't matter what city or state they came from or how far they had to drive to get there. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. They're American citizens, and they're pissed off enough to get in their car and go to another place to go fucking cause mayhem. Hey, Chuckles, what's up, buddy? So, I thought my power was going to get shut off tonight because they're here working on my batteries. I'm so excited. We're finally going to be off grid, baby! I know it took a long time. But we had, they had some emergencies they had to tend to once again, and they weren't able to get out here when they were hoping to. Let's see what the True Black. This True Black smells like blueberry pie now. Let's see what it tastes like. Just going to smoke a little bit, just a little bit. Trump is now holding a Bible in front of a church. Actually, Shay, that was a few minutes ago. It's over already. He's already left the church. One nation against injustice. Rob Grooms. Cheers. Right. So, you know, we look, guys, we warned you. We warned you that he was a horrible leader, and you didn't want to listen to us. You wanted a game show host to run the country, and now the country has become a fucking game show. That's what happens, you know? I never expected anything different, man. Oh, God, this is taking on those fucking terps. I can't believe it. Just after a few minutes. Bro, I just did this before I started the show. Like minutes before I started the show. And stacked them up right here 5 minutes before I started the show. And they're already taking on this profile. Oh, man, I wonder if the flavor's in there. Where is my lighter? Lighter. Here we go. No law regarding cannabis. Top of the hour, 42 minutes slow. Cheers, everybody. No law regarding cannabis. Cannabisism, tisms for all. Hey, Jinmin. Oh, they charged him with murder since they found the cause of death. I see what you're saying, Chuckles. Yeah, it was due to asphyxiation. So the cop killed him, right? You know, when the news was saying, oh, it could have been a heart problem or it could have been a pre-existing condition. No, it wasn't, man. Even if the guy had a heart problem and even if he had a pre-existing condition, neither of those would have killed him if that fucking pig hadn't kneeled on his neck for fucking 8 minutes. And you know, when they do these kneel-ins, they should all kneel for fucking 8 minutes. They should all do kneel-ins for exactly how long that fucking pig kneeled on that man's neck. George Floyd. They need to do kneel-ins, 8-minute kneel-ins. You know? Hey, man, we're just going to kneel here for 8 minutes. That's our fucking protest. Fuck you. We're kneeling because Colin Kaepernick was right. And if Donald Trump had done the right thing back then, George Floyd would still be alive today. And Donald Trump would be rolling his way over Joe Biden right now. We wouldn't have the fucking coronavirus here, I'm sure. Everything would have been different. But, that's a level of ignorance. It's just a level of ignorance. Because if you're going to say, okay, wait, Colin Kaepernick is right, I have to stop being a racist, then at some point, when someone says, hey, there's a Wuhan coronavirus coming from China, what do you want to do? Okay, well, just like the Colin Kaepernick thing, I'm going to have to listen to you because that helped me. Why? Why couldn't it have been that way? Because you douchebags, you fucking stinking cunts wanted to vote for a game show host. Fuck you. It's not a joke. There's people that are dead. And it might be someone in your family. And, if this president has done something or made a decision that has ultimately, somehow, in a roundabout way, resulted in someone in your family dying and you voted for that motherfucker, you deserve it. You fucking deserve it. We warned you. You chose to fucking ignore us. You chose to ignore me. And, I have no fucking sympathy for people who ignore me. Sorry. No sympathy for you. Dude, Chuckles, don't even start with me, motherfucker. Let me tell you something, all right? Sit the fuck down, all right? Let me tell you something. Donald Trump had support from millions of people. And every single person that pulled a lever or marked a fucking checkbox is a stinking fucking cunt, okay? If you did it, then you're just as guilty, which I'm sure you did not. But if you did, you're a stinking fucking cunt because you chose to ignore your buddy Trendy Nay. So fuck you, Chuckles. Fuck you. All right? Don't fucking start with me, bitch. I'm telling you, you don't want to fucking start with me on my live stream. Don't fucking do it. If the voters won, bro, you're not fucking listening to me, Chuckles. Shut the fuck up, all right? And listen to me for a second. It doesn't fucking matter, the voters, the Electoral College. The man had support from a bunch of idiots. That's my point, douchebag. That's my fucking point. Don't fucking argue with me, Chuckles. Don't fucking do it. Fucking try to fucking call my shit out, bitch. You're gonna piss me the fuck off. I'll jump up in the air and fucking elbow you in your face. If even I have to jump up 2 feet or so to do it. Don't get me pissed, motherfucker. You know I will throw down. I don't care how he became president. It doesn't fucking matter. Listen to what I'm saying. The man is throwing America down the fucking toilet because of poor leadership. And if you fucking thought he was a good leader and you voted for him, you're a stinking fucking cunt. I warned you. Oh, look, Chuckles sat down. I love it. Did you sit down, Chuckles? Sit down. Shut up. Oh, I'm right, aren't I, everybody? I'm right. Everybody tell Chuckles he's wrong and that Trendy Nay is right. Nobody wants to tell Chuckles he's wrong. You're all a bunch of pussies. Yeah, I know you didn't vote. I figured you voted, something weird, or you put in like fucking Jen from the Jenna Torturers or something. Wrote in Jen. How dare you fucking argue with me on my goddamn live stream? Dude, I'm making a point. My point is valid. Donald Trump is a horrible leader. People like me saw that he was going to be a horrible leader. We said, don't support the man. And the people who did, they have every reason in the world right now to absolutely accept the fact that any misery that this man has brought upon them is their own fucking doing. And if he didn't have so many people supporting him, he wouldn't have been able to get fucking primaried, bro. He had to beat a whole bunch of other people. And he did that not with an electoral college. He did that with fucking people. That's how he knocked everybody else the fuck out. And you got me talking about that shit. It doesn't even fucking matter. Why'd you even fucking bring it up? If you supported the man because you thought he was a good leader, you have no vision, you're an idiot, you didn't take time to think about it. You didn't listen to the other side. You only listened to your side. You listen to fucking idiots out there like, Sean Hannity and fucking everybody else who was supporting Donald Trump before he became president. Eddie told Chuckles he's wrong. Thank you, Eddie. Eddie told you you're wrong, Chuckles. Because war with China. No, it's not that Chuckles is wrong. It's not that Chuckles is wrong. It's that he's bringing up a point that has no bearing on what it is I'm talking about. He's distracting from what my point is. Yeah, he's not arguing. I know you're not arguing with me. I know. You're making a totally different point, but it's distracting from my conversation. I don't even know why you said what you said, man. It didn't contribute to what I was saying. It just kind of took away from it. It's a fact, Chuckles. It's a fact that people could see that Donald Trump was an overgrown man-child. I mean, We knew it. We heard his words. We saw the way he acted. Man, he went into the dressing room of the Miss Teen America fucking pageant while the girls were back there changing. You know, they said that he was a super fucking creep. Those girls said he was checking them out and shit while they were changing, and he was a super fucking creep. I mean, if you want to be like my friend Hippie Chick and my other friend David Honey Sr. and ignore that kind of shit and go into the voting booth or go check it off on your goddamn envelope, I mean, go ahead. I mean, there's no reaching you people. There's absolutely no reaching you. But understand, as these people are dying, you know, you had a hand in it, man. It's not just Donald Trump. It's people like you that fucking voted for him. You know, and people like you who got on the internet and got other people on your side to support him. You have to fucking take the blame. You have to accept the responsibility for what you did. You did a shitty fucking thing, and there's a lot of dead people now in your wake because you wanted to mix things up. You know, you wanted to throw a fucking wrench into the fucking system. Well, good for you. Congratulations, you did. I'm sorry that your family members are dead. You know, it's a horrible thing, but you did it. That's what you wanted. And how the fuck are you going to throw a wrench in the very system that keeps you alive, keeps you working, and puts food on your table, and not expect it to fucking hurt you, you ignorant motherfuckers? That's why I said it. I just said it differently. You're not a douchebag, Chuckles. I take that back. And I'd never try to hit you, ever. Did you like that? I will jump 2 feet up in the air and punch you. Punch you in your face, even have to jump 2 feet up in the air, motherfucker. Never step in front of me in a rant. God, don't you know better? It's the firing line, bro. Iceman? Is Iceman here? Oh, I was screaming at fucking Chuckles and Iceman came in. Iceman, what's up, brother? All right, no law regarding cannabis. Cannabis isn't just for all. Cheers, everybody. You helped create what I am today. Yeah, you did, motherfucker. You did. You helped shape me from standing up and saying what I feel. Now you do too. We've all influenced each other. You know? Isn't that amazing? It's a positive growth, and I like to experience that. So I terped up these buds and they taste really good. I'm smoking True Black like I just don't care. That's kind of stupid because I don't want to get knocked the fuck out. Oh, by the way, did I tell you the solar guys are here working on my solar? They're doing my solar. They're putting my batteries on. You know what? They were down. I took a picture. Because I wanted you to see. It's all a mess down there where they're working. It's fucking amazing. It's beautiful. Look. Look at this beautiful disaster. Look at that box, man. Look at that box. Look at those cables. Right? Them cables are bad as fuck. They're doing the heat shrink on them. They're using these big old fucking, those blue bolt, look like bolt cutters to crimp them down. It takes 2 guys to do it. And there's my the other battery. You don't see the other battery, but you can see my 2 inverters up there. The other 2 inverters, they're not hooked up yet. So they're going to be hooking those up. You can see they're running the box already right there, the cable box for it. That's Sasha standing right there. That's my solar guy. And I'm just so fucking excited. Holy shit. I'm excited. I don't give a fuck. That's how I scream, right? I mean, people need to realize, you know, it was all fun and games while we're all fighting for the last 2 years on the live stream and arguing, but haha, I told you so. You know? And so did a lot of other people that I told you to pay attention to. You know? And I just wish that somebody like H.A. Goodman could see Trump for what he was. It is so weird to see H.A. Goodman defending Donald Trump, man. It is so fucking weird. You know? He thinks Donald Trump just can't do any wrong whatsoever. If you watch H.A. Goodman, man, you'll just be like, whoa. And then if you try to say something in his chat that goes against what his narrative is, they're admins. He's got moderators. They'll block you and ban you. You can't disagree with what he's saying at all. And he's just all Trump. Trump is positive. Trump is doing great things. Everybody's out to get Trump. It's crazy because I used to love the guy. I thought he was fucking awesome. Am I going full off grid? Yes. Yeah, I should be in a few more days. Hopefully. You know, something always seems to come up, but we'll see. He has a shop back there to clean up his mess. Did you see I am now an official shoe designer? I'm so proud of myself. That's awesome, Eddie. Congratulations. Solar is so good. I wish we had installed like that in Britain. Solar's so good. Fuck Trump, says Ashley Deline. Look, I don't even say fuck Trump, guys. I used to. But you know what? He's the symptom. You're the fucking disease. You know, the people who supported Donald Trump and voted for him, those are the disease. And Donald Trump is just a symptom of how sick and stupid this country has become. And the rest of the world is looking at us and laughing, and it's a good thing. Because as long as the rest of the world is looking at us and laughing, it leads you to believe that there's still hope for the rest of the world. While our country is almost in utter chaos, it's not yet. This is nothing. This is nothing. Donald Trump is overreacting, and what's going on right now is nothing. Man, I'm telling you guys, people get inspired. When the news shows what these kids are out there doing, more kids want to go out there and do it. When I'm sitting here and I see 10 girls that are out there holding up signs and they're wearing yoga pants and tights and freaking, you know, hot fucking movie star sunglasses, and they're got long hair and they're holding up their signs and they're protesting. You know what I'm thinking to myself? I'm thinking, I want to go to there. I want to go protest and stand next to a bunch of beautiful women. I want to go out there and be a part of that. I mean, if those girls can do it, I can do it, right? It's inspiring. More people are going to show up. And numbers wins games. Numbers wins battles. Numbers wins wars. And we've already got the police forces outnumbered. That's why he's calling in more troops. And man, they're not, you guys want to see what's going on with the curfew right now? There's a 7 o'clock curfew in Washington, D.C., right? Do you think by any chance, Do you think the people are adhering to that 7 p.m. curfew in Washington right now? A rioter left some evidence behind a secret agent. No, I'm telling you, the news is showing these gorgeous women out there. There's girls out there, man, and they're out there holding up signs and they're throwing bottles and they're picking up the tear gas canisters and they're throwing them right back at the police. They're kneeling right in front of fucking police on horseback. I'm telling you, man, they're holding up their arms and they're chanting. I'm telling you, it's gonna bring more people, and this is not out of control. And Donald Trump's overreaction was a miscalculation. Unfortunately, what he's done is he's stoked the flames.
Today I have
Here we go. Here we go.
To every governor
Here we go.
to deploy the National Guard in sufficient numbers that we dominate the streets. Mayors and governors must establish an overwhelming law enforcement presence until the violence has been quelled. If a city or state refuses to take the
It's all about the mouth with Trump. This show is currently unavailable. Show. It's a show of shows. There's the letter I got.
During his very short walk to a nearby church, with him were Ivanka Trump, who you'll probably see at one moment. She's in high heels, clutching a white purse. The Defense Secretary, Mark, was there. Mark Meadows, the new Chief of Staff. All of them in a very kind of scatterbrain way, walking to a nearby church for a photo op. And then I want to show you what actually happened once the president got to the church. Even if it meant tear gassing peaceful protesters, hitting them with flashbangs, pepper spray, and rubber bullets, somebody handed the president that Bible. And then he stood there, and that was it. That was the photo op. The church itself is shut down.
Look at Anderson Cooper.
That's my thought.
He's laughing at the president.
That was his photo op.
They're mocking the president.
Awkwardly, he asked the Attorney General, the Defense Secretary, really anybody else he could kind of get to come into. Kayleigh McEnany was dragged into this photo op to stand in front of St. John's Episcopal Church. Not to pray, not to confess, certainly. We know the president doesn't do that. No, he went to just stand outside, hold up the Bible, and then have photos taken of himself with his cabinet members. It was surreal. A photo op.
That's my word.
Church that he rarely attends. His daughter and son-in-law also on hand.
I said it
Let me
first.
say something about what the president has just shown us. The president of law and order.
I should be Anderson Cooper.
Which is how he pronounced himself. And
I said it faster.
He claimed a power he doesn't really have. He can't send the military into every state. That's not law and order. What the president doesn't seem to know or care is that the vast majority of those protesting, they too are calling for law and order. A black man killed with 4 officers holding him down, a knee to the neck, from which 8 minutes, nearly 3 minutes of which he was no longer conscious.
He makes a good point.
That's not law and order.
It's
stopping and frisking a young black man simply because he's a young black man, that's not law and order. The killing of George Floyd, Eric Garner, the torture of Abner Louima, that's not law and order. The
Thanks,
president
Hamex.
seems to think that dominating black people, dominating peaceful protesters is law and order.
Or Hamex.
It's not. He calls them thugs. Who is the thug here? Hiding in a bunker? Hiding behind a suit? Who is the thug? People have waited for days for this wannabe wartime president to say something. And this is what he says, and that is what he does. I've seen societies fall apart as a reporter. I've seen people dying in the streets while protesting. I've seen countries ripped apart by hate and misinformation and lies.
They're gonna arrest people, and people will go home, and then they'll come back the next day, and there's gonna be more people and more people and more people.
Deserve answers, and they haven't gotten them. No matter
people aren't gonna stay home.
Murdered, lynched,
you're gonna find out how many people in this country there really are.
We all know it. People protesting in the streets, they know it, and they're tired of it, and we should be too. There's a curfew in New York tonight at 11 p.m. And we remember another curfew, August 1943. That was the last time there was a curfew like this in the city.
Lemony.
You know what that curfew was caused by? 1943, a white police officer shooting a black soldier. The years change, the decades go by, and the sad truth remains. Let's go to first right now to CNN's Alex Marquardt, who was on the street in the crowd just as the mayhem broke out in Washington. I shouldn't say mayhem broke out. There's this reporter on Fox News who I fucking hate. He was reporting in the middle of the riots, and they fucking figured out that he was Fox News, and they started attacking him, and the fucking Secret Service had to escort him out, and they attacked the Secret Service. They attacked him. They were throwing bottles at him. They pushed him. They shoved him. He got bumped around and shit. They grabbed their cameras, they smashed them. It's fucking some crazy shit, man. Let me tell you something. Fox News, you made your bed, now you're gonna get to lay in it. You send your reporters out there to these protests, your Fox News people, they're gonna be getting fucked up. There's a lot of people out there that are sick of the rhetoric, man. They're sick of all the lies and the entire narrative that Fox News has been pushing for years. They're sick of you, man.
The remaining protesters and
but you know it now. Now you know it. And man, when I watch those morning show people, Friends, whatever it's called, the fucking morning Friends show or whatever it is on Fox, you can see there's fear in all of their eyes. They're petrified, and they should be. You know, they get recognized out in public. They're going to get yanked out of their car, and they're going to get fucking beaten to death. You know? People hate them.
Away from the park. They didn't use, it wasn't just a please move away, we're getting close to the curfew kind of thing. It was with force. It was with horses. It was with tear gas. It was with pepper spray.
7:10 coming up, guys.
Rubber bullets. I saw an older man getting cornered in an entryway who was getting fired upon with rubber bullets. Protesters going out to try to help him. Under a hail of rubber bullets, they managed to carry him away. He looked like he was having some heart trouble. So some incredibly disturbing scenes playing out here, Anderson, tonight. It is the kind of thing, as you noted in your remarks earlier, it's the kind of thing that I've also seen in places like Turkey, in places like Egypt, between Israelis and Palestinians. These are not countries that we should want to be compared to. It is an understatement to say that to pair the president's remarks.
Matt Dillahunty told me to put my bong down. Then he told me to pick my bong back up. Hit your bong, bro, he said. No law regarding cannabis. Cannabis isn't for all. Happy 710, everybody. Cheers.
Alex Marquardt, thanks very much. CNN Jim Acosta watched this all from the Rose Garden. He joins us now. Jim, have you ever seen anything like this?
No, Anderson, it was an extraordinary moment, and, you know, we were standing there in the Rose Garden waiting for the president to start speaking, and you could hear the explosions coming from this police and military action that was taking place on the streets of the nation's capital to clear out these protesters from Lafayette Park so the president could have this photo op, and then the president launched into his address. He described himself as a law and order president and threatened to use military force.
Hey, if he's a law and order president, does that mean that when he's hiding in his bunker, he watches Law and Order?
The National Guard, and we sort of saw all of that play out in real time.
Is that what the law and order president means?
There were military vehicles rolling into the White House complex.
I would be the Dexter president.
And then those forces.
That's what I'm watching on Netflix right now.
At one point, I asked the president, how can we defend clearing out protesters for a photo opportunity? He did not respond. A couple of times I tried to ask that question. He did not respond. But keep in mind, Anderson, and you're watching this video now of the president walking through Lafayette Park. You know, this is a park where the protesters have been lined up for days now protesting against the death of George Floyd, and it was just completely emptied out. It's just extraordinary what was done here. And just to echo what Alex Marquardt was saying,
What a prick.
we've had this discussion over
He's
the last
such a
couple of
prick.
hours.
What that is the wrong image to fucking portray right now. You're inciting Donald Trump. If there's people out there that hate you, they're going to hate you even more now. If there's people out there that were not going to do anything and not go out in the streets, now more people are going to go out in the streets.
This was ham-handed, no question about it. This was
You know, I'm kind of enjoying the fact that Donald Trump is destroying himself right now, and that we can all see it.
state of affairs.
And when Donald Trump gets caught in a crowd, and let me tell you something, it might happen,
Witness the President of the United
and he gets
States operating
beat to death.
outside the bounds
I will laugh and fucking laugh.
of what
Fuck
we
you.
know to be our democracy.
This is all his doing.
The United States
And he's doing more and everything that he possibly can to make it worse.
There's a damn
I would appreciate
damn good reason.
that sort of thing to happen. I would sit there and I'd watch it and I'd like it. Oh, I'd like it. Dude, it's not going to be an assassination. It's going to be a riot driven crowd murder. You know, he's going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And man, people are pissed. They want to, they wouldn't be at the White House protesting if they didn't want his ass out on a fucking, and they see his head on a fucking stake. And I'm telling you, man, they're going to do to him what they did to fucking Gaddafi. And Hillary Clinton's going to laugh her ass off about it. She's going to say, we came, we saw, we killed him. Ha. Dude, after seeing what a mob did to somebody, like a totally, I don't know what the fuck, who that person was. Dude, I saw it. I saw it on Twitter. I was like, dude, I can't believe I just saw that. It was so bad. People are so bad, man, and this is going on right now.
It's hard to wrap your head
I have no idea what that guy did to end up all those people attacking him like that.
America tonight. There's just no other way to put it.
Well, also,
You know, probably not a good idea to be out in your cars driving around, getting near these crowds or whatever, people, you know. Just word of safety, caution from your friendly trending A. You know, stay in your homes unless you're going to go out there and protest, which I support you in doing that. Man, it's fucking dangerous if you're going to do that, but if you're going to do it, don't be driving up on crowds. Okay? If you see crowds and you're driving your car, fucking stop, turn around, and get the fuck away. I've been in my car and been confronted by a crowd before, and I'm telling you, man, you don't want to be in that situation. I've literally been in that situation
There were
before.
other White House officials, military officials, federal employees paid for with our tax dollars, and our tax dollars were used to tear.
Oh, is that why they beat that guy in the street? Because he had a fucking bow and arrow?
And the entire world was watching.
Jim Costa, thanks. We're going to go see Nan's Caitlin Collins.
Dude, people are crazy, man. He probably had a mental problem, you know. You would have to be a mental
We're learning
case.
more about what was behind this last-minute photo op. So last minute, we should note that Secret Service rushed up here on this balcony where I'm standing right now, where CNN has been broadcasting for weeks now without any heads up that they were coming up here because, of course,
Quarter of the hour, cannabis isn't tism for all. What? What? I'm smoking terped up buds. Terped up, son. Yo, it's terped up trendy nay. What? Terped up trendy nay. What? Getting terped up, son.
To St. John's was driven in part that he was upset by coverage of the fact that he had been rushed to the underground bunker.
No law regarding cannabis. Cannabis isn't tism for all. Cheers, everybody. Yeah.
In front of the White
Terped
House.
up, son. Getting terped up with trendy nay. What?
What part of the decision?
We are in trouble. this country is being led
He
by a
wanted
man.
to be seen outside the gates.
Of course he did. He was taken to a bunker, and he's hiding in a bunker, and he is embarrassed that people know that. So what does he have to do? He has to sic police on peaceful protesters, so he can make a big show of being, the little big man walking to a closed down church.
Little big man.
And then, he always talks about the world laughing, that the world are laughing at the governors right now. They're not laughing at the governors. They're standing in horror over what is happening. The only people that the world is laughing at is the President of the United States. And this event, as I said, if it wasn't so dangerous and disgusting, it would be funny because it is.
Yeah, Corey, I see your comments. Oh my God, it's working, man. These are terped up. I taste it.
As calm and reasonable as and straightforward and just doing this hour of news. And
Dude, it terped up my buds.
I just can't believe this is what we have. This is the United States of America.
Wow.
This is the president we have. You wanted a disruptor. Well, yeah, that's what a disruptor. That's what disruption
It's
is.
so notable because Anderson, in the Rose Garden, when the president first came out, he said, "I am an ally of peaceful protest." But what we
No, it's just flavor, Amber. Flavor and odor.
We've been out here for about
No
8
THC.
hours that we've been up here, and then we watched them. Of course, they got 3 really short warnings, and within 10 minutes, it was crowded down here, and then all of the protesters had been moved down the street for the president to come out, walk across Lafayette Square, and go to this church that he's visited a handful of times during his presidency, and now we know that was driven in part.
They're all for peaceful protests, except never the actual peaceful protest that's happening. Colin Kaepernick, people taking a knee during
Colin
a sporting
Kaepernick.
event. No, that's completely inappropriate. That's
Colin
not the right
Kaepernick.
peaceful protest.
Colin
Peaceful
Kaepernick.
protest across from the White House, Lafayette
George.
Park, federal land. That's why he can use
Floyd.
federal forces. No, that's not appropriate. I mean,
George Floyd.
I'm mystified by all these people who say they're for peaceful protests. They don't. I'm not sure what a peaceful protest is supposed to look like, given that everyone that I've seen so far hasn't ended up so well for those who are being peaceful.
You're in New Hampshire, right on, buddy?
And Anderson,
violence
we
is
should
not an
note,
answer.
we should
Go ahead, sorry.
We should note who was missing from this photo opportunity that the president did, where he came out here, he posed with the Bible. You saw the Attorney General, you saw the National Security Advisor, you saw the Defense Secretary. The Vice President, Mike Pence, was not here. He did not make this trip with the president. Neither did the First Lady, Melania Trump. Really notable not to see either of those figures come with the president over here to this church where the basement caught on fire last night.
I
It was
also
a very
noticed-
famous presidential church.
Right. I noticed Ivanka Trump was no fool, and she didn't get sucked into lining up with the president, unless that happened when the cameras had moved or something. But from what I saw, it was only Kayleigh McEnany was the only woman who got dragged into that. The rest was just the defense secretary. I mean, again, what a day.
Corey, he's already broken out the big guns. That's what his announcement just was. He's releasing troops all across the country.
He ever saying. CNN Pentagon correspondent Barbara Starr joins us now. Just to be clear, Barbara, who has been deployed so far, and what powers does the president actually have?
Here, listen to this. Here's an answer to your question.
It is a confusing picture tonight. I think we need to start with all the troops you are seeing on the streets of Washington, D.C. tonight are National Guard, also federal law enforcement, civilian law enforcement from the National Capital Region. We know that about 200 to 250 active duty military are on standby and could be brought onto the streets at the president's.
Those are military police, is that correct?
That's right. Those are active duty military police. These are units that would deploy to war zones, the units that would deploy to assist Americans in hurricanes. You and I were both at Katrina. We both remember seeing troops there in support, in trying to help Americans who were in such trouble in New Orleans as that city flooded. That's what the U.S. military does. The U.S. military does not go onto the streets of this country.
Hey, I saw on their clock it's 4:20, and it is. It's 4:20. Happy 4:20, everybody. No law regarding cannabis. Cannabis isn't for all. Cheers.
And in terms of what we saw over the last hour or so, this is a real question about who in the White House, I think, is actually understanding and comprehending and willfully understanding understanding or not, the authorities have, as you say, a commander-in-chief. We saw a commander-in-chief tonight who was joined by a defense secretary and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff in what many people may decide is a political act rather than a national security act. Bring law and order to the streets, yes. Stop the violence, yes. But these were, as everyone points out, peaceful protesters. And I will tell you, earlier today, I was talking to a military official who's deeply involved in all of this. He said, we are your friends and neighbors. We don't want to be on the streets doing this. Another National Guard commander talked about this as to reporters as the job he likes to do the least. If you're going to put federal forces, federal military forces, as the president described them, on to this country, you're going to need the support of the governors, the mayors, and most
everybody get hectic because Cobra Dad Electric is here. Cobra Dad Electric, making everybody get hectic up in here.
The way he phrased it, it makes it sound like he is going to be sending in active troops. It actually is at the
keep the pressure steady on.
Well,
Juan
no.
John,
I mean,
Juan John says
that's
shot.
how real life works. A governor, he can invoke the Insurrection Act. That would mean he could send in federal. He could send in.
Yeah, she's angry. That woman was angry.
To engage in law enforcement. That means carry weapons, detain American citizens, arrest American citizens. All the things that would those troops would also put their own lives potentially at risk for. So he can do that under the Insurrection Act. But that means he in a practical sense, in the real world, would have to have the approval of governors and local officials, or his alternative is to send the U.S. military into the streets of this country without the approval and support of governors, mayors, local authorities, civilian law enforcement.
All right, Jimmy, drive safe.
There's only two choices here.
Stay away from crowds,
All
bro.
right,
You either have their approval or you don't.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about the legality of this. Barbara, thanks very much. So with the president threatening to send troops in the states, whether
they're down there working right now.
By the governor of Michigan, Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Governor, first of all, your reaction of what happened tonight in Washington, D.C. The president saying he's going to deploy the military if, quote, the city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents.
It's shocking. You know, I was watching CNN with my daughter, and the split screen he was saying he stands with peaceful protesters, and on the other side, his police troops were shooting at peaceful protesters. You know, in this country right now, we need a leader who can bring calm, who can bring unity, who can show the compassion and competence that we need. If they could put this kind of energy behind the Defense Production Act and start producing swabs, we could do the testing to keep people safe. If they could just muster some sort of acknowledgement about the pain, the historic pain that is coming to a tipping point right now around criminal justice and civil, you know, what is happening here in this country, it would go a long way. But the fact of the matter is, what happened in the Rose Garden tonight is only, I'm fearful, going to further fuel the animosity and angst and anxiety in this country. And I think it is more destructive than what I was hoping he would say.
Can the president send in active military troops to your state without your approval?
You know, the president, apparently there are outreach efforts to ask for acknowledgement of
I'm telling you, these 25-year-olds are crazy, bro.
In states, and
they're fucking crazy. That's the age of them.
They can't do it without
they're 25-year-olds.
The governors, and
they're crazy, man.
It's probably not going to happen in a lot of our states.
Would you ask for, at this point in Michigan, would you ask for federal troops?
You know what would help take the heat down from everything? A genuine showing of concern about the underlying problem here of police brutality, a genuine concern about how we ramp up our testing across the country to combat COVID-19, which has had a disproportionate impact on communities of color. That's how we get through this moment, not by looking at one another as enemies and declaring civil war on one
I
another.
want to try to
That's
turp
not
up
gonna
some
fix the
buds
problem.
into
It's only
cola
gonna make it
flavor.
worse, Anderson.
I'm
And
so curious
as
to
the
see that
governor
what that
of
would
a
be like.
state that is really hurting right now, I'm calling on all leaders on all, both sides of the aisle to come together and to show competence and compassion and give people hope, because that's what we need more than anything.
I just got to ask you again, though. I mean, just because the president has thrown this out there just an hour ago, saying, that all governors should call in the National Guard, and if you don't, he will act. What does that mean to you? Would you ask for? I mean, are you in a position right now where you want federal military forces?
If it ever came to that moment, it would be because they've just thrown a lot more gas on a fire that is burning. I don't want that to happen. And that's why when you look at the sheriff in Genesee County, whose video went viral because he was actually engaging with people who are hurting, the protesters, that's how we solve the problem, not by throwing more police and military at something that is festering. We acknowledge it and we try to solve this problem, not militarize this.
One of the things that that has been so encouraging has been the scenes of protesters, defending stores so that they don't get looted. Protesters, defending, in some cases, police officers, or at least communicating with police officers. But we have seen, in some cases, protesters defending police officers and trying to tamp down violence, and not wanting their peaceful protests, not wanting their legitimate protests and demonstrations to be, taken over by elements that are out there with, are going to break into a store or take stuff, because that's not what the vast majority of these protesters are about.
That's right. I mean, the vast majority of people who are showing up to protest really care about the issue. They care about the George Floyds of the world that we didn't hear about because it wasn't filmed. They care about addressing the issue of police brutality and years of this inequity that is showing up in COVID-19 as we hold a mirror up to the United States of America. The vast majority of people are doing this out of genuine concern and desire to make sure that we as a country do better on behalf of all Americans. And yet we know that there are people with their own agendas that are infiltrating these events and turning them into violence and vandalism and undermining the real cause that they're supposedly there to be supporting. And that's precisely why we absolutely support the right to protest. But what we want to make sure is that these other forces don't come in and undermine it and to make it into something that's dangerous. And that's why the president's words today were so dangerous and so distressing, both his words to the governors in our call earlier and his address to the nation moments ago. This is a moment in our country where we need peace, we need unity and compassion, and we need an agenda that actually fixes the problems that we are suffering from.
Governor Whitmer, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
With us now by phone, retired Army Lieutenant General Russell Honore, also two CNN legal analysts and former federal prosecutors Laura Coates and Jeffrey Toobin. CNN's chief political analyst Gloria Borger is with us, so is Ron Johnson, former captain in Missouri Highway Patrol and author of 13 Days in Ferguson. Laura, the president declaring himself, quote, your president of law and order. From a legal standpoint, does what the president say he can do, is that something he can actually do?
Well, frankly, these are supposed to act in concert, the Insurrection Act and also the notion of posse comitatus. The idea of it is to say that we do not want the military to act as law enforcement on U.S. soil without either some act of Congress or some really good reason to do so. It has been invoked at times after Reconstruction in terms of with Eisenhower or Kennedy sending troops in to try to enforce the desegregation orders when you knew that the states were not going to do it themselves. You saw it in some parts with LBJ in D.C. following the assassination of Martin Luther King, and you saw it, of course, after L.A. riots with Rodney King, but that was because the governor actually in California asked George H.W. Bush to help and do this. This is unprecedented at this time to say, without a request, without any request from any governor or anybody asking for the assistance or a militarized presence of these officers and of these military members on the streets to act unilaterally is shocking, especially given the fact that his motivation, it seems, he says initially, was about protecting, on the one hand, First Amendment rights, and on the other hand, trying to encourage the Second Amendment rights. And he seemed to forget the 5 very important things here, as you laid out. The First Amendment, the ability to have freedom of speech. You're actually taking people off of a public forum where they have every right to be, to petition the government, assemble, to be able to have the press present as well. And the final one, having religion. He seemed to have gotten that confused by going over to the church as those being all conflated into one principle. But all this goes to say that if you think you're disoriented now by seeing what's happening in your cities and towns in reaction to the killing of George Floyd and people attempting in some ways to hijack the ideological protest for self-interested reasons, well, you're about to be very disoriented trying to figure out which country we're in, which amendments now apply, and whether the President of the United States can unilaterally say, I think I'll send in the military even if nobody asks me to.
Jeffrey Toobin, legally, what's your take?
Well, the Insurrection Act itself is very clear that the military can only come in at the request of the state. And that's what the Governor J.B. Pritzker was referring to.
None of the governors want the military to come in.
Now, there are 2 other provisions that say the military, the president can send in the military to vindicate constitutional rights. This is what President Eisenhower used to send the troops into Little Rock to integrate the schools. But that's not what's going on here. There is no vindication of constitutional rights, federal court orders. So as I read the law, the president simply cannot do this without the invitation
Dude,
of
the
the
sun's
governors.
about to go down.
So this seems to me yet another stunt where the president is acting as if he can do something, but in fact, he probably has no intention of doing it because the governors aren't going to let him do it.
General Honore, you led forces in New Orleans and did an extraordinary job.
This guy's great.
I'm wondering what you have just witnessed, what you make of the president using, federal forces to clear a street in the nation's capital so he and the defense secretary
I can't
and
do a
others
Louisiana.
can stand in front of a closed down
I can't
church
do a
for a photo
Cajun
op.
accent.
Yeah, I thought I was watching a scene from something in Turkey, not in the United States. It's either the president don't understand the Constitution or you don't give a damn.
Don't give a damn.
This is a very disturbing. I must say this, though. Our troops must rest well in their families. He's given another order he cannot enforce. The suggestion will be that the Congress and the Senate need to come together and put some constraints on this president.
Look at all those people in the street, man.
As we move forward to the election.
And there's more people coming.
Need to stand steady. The Congress and the Senate need to understand this man has control of over 3,000 nuclear weapons.
Oh,
and
man.
thousands of jet planes and levels.
That's in L.A. That's L.A., guys.
And 2 million people in uniform. They need to put a check on what he said. He cannot execute what he said, but the American people need to have confidence, and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Secretary of Defense need to exercise their right not to go to photo ops like this, and the troops need to have confidence that the Joint Chiefs of Staff will follow the Constitution. There should be a lawyer from the Pentagon tomorrow morning.
It's going on all around the country, man. It's fucking
to the
crazy.
Senate and to the White House, inappropriate use of the United States active duty. What they did with the National Guard is purely permissible. The National Guard and D.C. act at the direction of the Secretary of the Army based on the D.C. mayor. They were on federal ground. They could do what they did. Should they have done it? Probably not. But as long as they're on federal ground, that they can operate with the D.C. and the Secret Service to protect federal ground. They can bring federal troops in and put them on federal ground inside the White House if needed.
Everyone, hold on. We've got someone on the phone that we want to hear from. Marianne Buddy is the Bishop of the District of Columbia, who oversees the church that the president just used as a photo op. Bishop Buddy, thank you for being here. What are your thoughts as you saw what happened, and as you look at these images now of so many Americans crying out in the streets for law and order that is applied equally to all of us, regardless of color, regardless of economic status?
I want to thank you for letting me be on this, be part of this conversation. Let me be clear. The president just used a Bible, the most sacred text of the Judeo-Christian tradition, and one of the churches of my diocese, without permission, as a backdrop for a message antithetical to the teachings of Jesus and everything that our churches stand for. And to do so, as you just said, he sanctioned the use of tear gas by police officers in riot gear to clear the churchyard. I am outraged. The president did not pray when he came to St. John's, nor, as you just articulated, did he acknowledge the agony of our country right now, and in particular that of the people of color in our nation, who wonder if anyone
What's with them high water pants? What's up with that shit?
Demanding an end to 400 years.
No style, man. Oh my God.
White supremacy in our country, and I just want the world to know that we in the Diocese of Washington, following Jesus and his way of love, we distance ourselves from the incendiary language of this president. We follow someone who lived a life of nonviolence and sacrificial love. We align ourselves with those seeking justice for the death of George Floyd and countless others through the sacred act of peaceful protest. And I just can't believe what my eyes have seen tonight.
You had no idea he was going to do that?
I had no idea. I was watching the news with everyone else, and as you might imagine, I have been fielding out just phone calls and emails and texts of outrage from my people and from people across the country wondering what on earth did we just witness. I hear everything else tonight as I was allowed to eavesdrop on the first part of your conversation, which is equally significant in terms of the symbolism of our civic institutions. But what I am here to talk about is the abuse of sacred symbols for the people of faith in this country to justify language, rhetoric, an approach to this crisis that is antithetical to everything we stand for, everything that this faith stands for.
You know, there were so many religious leaders, people from the faith community who took part in civil rights demonstrations, who were integral to the success of
yeah, he should have been struck by
year after year. There were faith leaders who,
oh my God,
not just Dr. King, but members of different faith communities who were killed on in Mississippi and elsewhere.
Yes. These are our heroes. These are our martyrs, right? Mostly people of color, some beautiful white allies who were privileged to stand with them. These are the people that show us what it looks like to live and to walk a life of faith, right? That's what it looks like. That's the legacy. That's our hope. That's our only hope in this country. And so much has been gained and so much has been lost in these last 40 years. And I feel that the soul of our nation is at stake right now. And we need moral leadership. And we also need, and that was, I think, what you all were talking about earlier, we need moral leadership. We also need political leadership, because the people of faith in this country cannot act as a substitute for sound civic government and moral leadership and effective laws.
Those people are going to come back.
Enforced for all people. And that is something that all people of faith, all people of goodwill, and all people who have no faith at all but believe in the civic principles of this country can agree. And in that public square we stand. And we must prevail as a people, because what we're witnessing now is the shredding of our national fabric.
Let's slap the Jesus in
If I could, I know we have to go, but before we go, there's a lot of people watching right now who maybe they've been marching in the streets, maybe they have been staying at home, and maybe they're frightened about what they're seeing on the television and wondering where it's going, and worried about their business, being destroyed, or they're worried about their child who is out marching, and is their child going to get killed? Is their child going to get beaten up or tear gassed? And even during regular times, there's a lot of people who worry about their children and themselves every single time they go outside. And are they going to be arbitrarily pulled over?
I hear
what
that.
What do you say to people tonight who are afraid?
Well, I'm afraid, right? I'm afraid. I'm afraid for my kids. I'm afraid for everyone's children. I'm particularly mindful of the fact that those of us who are white have far less to be afraid of than people of color. But I fear for us. Fear, however, is not an excuse to stand idly by. I grieve the violence, the senseless violence, and the destruction of livelihoods and the fabric of cities.
Hey, there's a yellow vest!
I'm watching what's happening there.
Yellow vest! Yellow vest!
Still bears the scars of what happened in the 60s. I understand the fear. But I think if we don't look at the reasons, at the root causes of the cancerous sins in our nation, we will never get past the symptomatic eruptions and, frankly, the opportunistic distractions that keep us from our true self. And that's what we have to keep our eyes on and work toward while we bind the wounds of those who become
Trinity Baba Booey. Baba Booey.
What's the word? The collateral damage of a nation that will not face its sin, repent, and heal.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you worked in Minneapolis, was it 18 years?
18 years. My family, I have family, I have friends, my son, my grandson
So as somebody who knows that city, I'm sorry to interrupt, but as somebody who knows that city, and I think it's such an important point to make, and you were alluding to this earlier, which is, we're looking right now at military on the street. We're looking at large numbers of people protesting in Los Angeles peacefully at this hour, thank goodness. And we focus in these days a lot on demonstrations because that is what is happening in the streets right now and what our political leaders are talking about, for better or for worse. It threatens to make us focus on protests and not on the underlying reasons why people feel driven into these streets, and not just the murder, and I use that word murder intentionally of Mr. Floyd, but the lack of law and order applied equally to all citizens, for not just individuals, but for entire communities of color, black and brown, and not just for this year or last year, but for decades and decades, and frankly, hundreds of years.
Well, you said it as articulately as anyone would hope to. I mean, that is the deep-seated, decades-long injustices and embedded systemic racism, and the inability to hold officers accountable for their crimes. I mean, these go back. This is embedded in the police force in cities like Minneapolis, and the racial injustices go back, as you know, they go back to policies and practices that were the direct roots of slavery and antebellum and Jim Crow. I mean, all of those things, we can look at all of those things. I mean, this is June 1st, for crying out loud. We know what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma, almost 100 years ago, when an entire community of African Americans were basically massacred, right? And their communities destroyed by angry white vigilantes, right? All of that is part of our history. And one of the responsibilities of people of faith is to know the context in which superficial acts. When I say
What the
superficial, I don't mean
fuck? These guys got
but the ones that are running
batons.
the
Like,
surface,
look at what they
right?
got.
We need to understand the deep-rooted causes of these things, not to
Look at what these
justify
fucking pigs
individual
have,
acts of
man.
violence.
Like
I'm not
fucking
saying that.
baseball
I'm just
bats.
saying that if we don't understand the context, we miss the opportunity to be agents of healing. And that's what we heard in our president tonight. We missed one opportunity after another,
That's Philly.
after another.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it is.
I love that phrase, how to be agents of healing. I think that's something that we should all reflect on in the hours and the days ahead, of how to be that in our own lives and our own communities. Bishop Buddy, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just ahead, we're going to talk with Magic Johnson about what we have just seen and what is happening in his town and his country and our country. We'll be right back.
Crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. All right, it's crazy. So I'm out of here, you guys. I will see you on the next show. I don't know when it'll be. But, yeah, these guys are doing my solar right now, so it's pretty fucking cool.
Ramping up to address the COVID crisis meant that we had to think outside of the box.
I might go down there and check out how the progress is going. Maybe clean up a little bit in the garage. All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye. People still died, right? Billy, what's up, buddy? All right. Bye, everybody. Remember, hook up with me over here at Trendy As Dabbers on Twitter. All right, and make sure you go. You say, fuck that, stay? Really? You want me to stay? Cobra Dad says stay. Just gonna go down there and start cleaning up the garage. I'm just so excited to have that. They're down there wiring up those fucking solar arcs, man. Oh man, it's gonna be awesome. It's all gonna be redistributed. They're gonna put in a whole new panel. Oh, I remember you said we're supposed to tell you to say. Yeah, you're supposed to say hashtag keep it open. I know, I got pissed one night. You're supposed to, hey Margie, right on. You're supposed to say hashtag keep it open. I usually look for that, but nobody ever does it. Very rare. Someone will just type in keep it open or anything, but no one really does the hashtag KIO. Keep it open. Hashtag keep it open. God, man. Keep the pressure steady. Keep it open. Jacob said it. I hear them hammering on something down there. Okay. Thank you, Jacob Granger. I appreciate you, brother. Cool. All right. No, I'm done. I gotta go. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye, y'all. Thanks, Cobra Dad. Hey, FK.